The markets are wild today. There's no doubt about that. The first thing I want to cover is the insiders that are selling. I'm going to show you one big one, and I'm sure that thumbnail gave you a hint as to who that is. The second thing I want to look at is the economic weakness, because believe it or not, I'm going to show you the data around that, and it's going to give you some very important insights. So stay tuned for this, as well as the third thing, SPACs. SPACs were all the rage, but I'm going to show you what's been happening recently. It's been one heck of a ride. Let's go. Apple CEO poised to get a $750 million final payout from award. That's a big reward, let me tell you. Cook has said that he has plans to give away he wants to give away most of his fortune. So they put that as the first and most important line right there. During his tenure, Apple stock has climbed more than 1,100%. Absolutely true. At first, it was very iffy. Is he going to be able to take over? Very different kind of guy from Steve Jobs. But of course, the company has done very well. Tim Cook, Apple Inc.'s chief executive officer, will this week collect the 10th and final tranche of the pay deal he received decades ago after he took over the job. All right. The haul consists of about 5 million shares worth $750 million. Okay. Let's take a look. I'm showing you this here. If you want to know any insider, what they're buying, what they're selling, I covered this extensively. I have an entire video about how to do this yourself, and you can find that in my playlist called How to End Solutions. So go in there and you will find it. Or if it's not in that one, it's in the e-course. Both of them are in the playlists. You scroll down when you go to my main channel, go to the playlist, go scroll down, and you will see that, all right? Now look, Apple. This is from the SEC Form 4. All public information. We don't go to the Bloomberg articles and read what they had to say entirely. I just show you that because it's easy to see. Let's look at the data itself. Right at the top of the list. Coming in on the 26th of August, Cook, Timothy D, CEO, sold off approximately 2.4 million shares, value $354 million. I don't know what he intends on buying or what he intends on doing with that, but that is a lot of his shares simply being sold off. Why couldn't he have kept those? Why didn't he want to keep them? You would expect that if he thought the price was going to go much higher, he would keep them in there. So he didn't do that. He did not do that. Now I could search specifically, like I searched for Apple here, but I could actually search for the name. Okay, so if I type in Timothy Cook, I'm going to probably be able to pull that up. Let's see what happens. But essentially, what I'm trying to show you this, not only can I find any insider, but I can also show you now it's pulling out. That didn't work. That didn't work like that. Okay, but anyway, the point is I could look at this. I could see who's been buying, who's been selling. I could arrange the data as I see fit, sort by, as you can see, filing dates. I could find this information and look, and you will find the insiders are selling today. Insiders are making the moves. And why? Why would they do this? Okay, why would they do that? Well, you tell me. The number of shares repurchased for Apple. This chart goes back from 2016 up until the present, comparing the price, that's the red line, and the number of shares repurchased. All right. Now, what we've noticed here is just like any other company, particularly the tech companies, they do buy a lot of their own shares. And as they hit these levels, okay, they're able to actually sell because, they can have their payday, just like in this example here with Tim Cook, Elon Musk, and so many others. Once they hit certain levels, they're able to get that payday. So their compensation, a lot of times their salary is not really that good. Okay, they take a normal salary, but their compensation because of the stock price is fantastic. That's where they're making all their money. And by the way, it happens to be a very low tax way to do it. So this is how they run their businesses and make sense. So who benefits the most when there is a share repurchase, when there is a stock buyback? That's right, the insiders. Look at the insider transactions. You could see over this period of time, and lo and behold, at the absolute peaks, they sell off. They sell off. The insiders sell at the peaks. And then you could see it comes down after, but hey, it might go up after, but that insider's ready to sell again each and every time. But let's talk about this. Stock market risks pile up after record-setting earnings season. There's an unlimited number of risks today. But does that mean that the stock market comes down as a result? No, that's not how it works. But when you have these risks, a lot of times that ends up being a problem for that particular stock, for that stock market. There's always the case of this is going to go up forever and ever and ever, and then there is a correction that happens. What brings it there, nobody really knows. So we'll talk more about that in a second in the Money GPS Insights. Shares at record as expectations elevated into the second half. Margin squeeze, China crackdown, and other things are all threatening the rally here. And there's one, I thought it was funny. I'm not completely bearish, but I do see risks on the horizon that need to be watched because nobody wants to say they're a bear. But anyway, I wanted to compare something right here quickly because they had this chart. The S&P 500 and the Stoxx Europe 600 have both gone up basically in a straight line from 2020 onward. However, MSCI Asia Pacific, which originally started rocketing higher from, let's say, that November timeframe, October-November timeframe, doing well, and then it peaked out in February of 2021. So it was much, much higher, better performer. However, started to decline from that point. So you got to understand where your money is. Look, if you were able to time that, you would have done better in here. You could have moved your money around. And do people do that? Generally, no. Okay, generally, no. They're not astute investors. They simply put their money in and they let it ride. Okay, so there's a few risks that they go through. I'm not going to read the entire article to you. I just list what's happening. Fed tapering, that's a big one. High bar, essentially the earnings season they're talking about. You can see this. Analysts left the price targets as U.S. shares boosted by earnings. Chips needed. Come on, semiconductors, big problem. Long wait for those chips. We never seen anything like this before, of course. Costs spike, the inflationary problems, the raw materials. That's another one. China worries. Many factors here, but one of those being, of course, with the crackdown on the tech industry, it is really one that I think is a big issue, not being understood. Just it's isolated to China, whatever, don't worry about it, this and that. But we need to understand how this, there's so many different things piling up all at once. Okay, so I would definitely be very careful about where we are putting our money right now today. That's all I'm saying. And this right here, before we get into the GPS insights, this is what I wanted to mention. High frequency charts show the U.S. economy softening. Okay, airlines, hotels are seeing fewer bookings. Some employers cut job listings or delay return to the offices. Look at these examples. Airlines, okay? They're showing you, while improved from a year ago, number of travelers has declined recently. And you could see that. I hope you could see that red line. Things have started to come down. Okay, let's look down. Restaurant dining. Again, softening up a bit. And we're still technically in the summertime. We should be definitely not seeing that yet. If you move into September, October, okay, sure, it gets soft. But that's not the case here. Hotel occupancy, they're comparing that, just saying the issue has contributed to more empty hotel rooms. Job listings, same situation. They show a little bit of a softening that's taken place. Home again, plans for big U.S. companies to return workers to their offices and is reversing. That's all right there. They're just showing you the decline over the last little while. And I think that's it for this one. Yeah. So there's many reasons. But let's go into a little depth here in the Money GPS Insights. Right now, the markets are dealing with ultra high risk. And why? It's all thanks to very low interest rates. We know that this is the case. And yet, unfortunately, they don't want to change course with that, at least the Federal Reserve. But globally, right now, today, there have been at least 24 rate increases. So on a global scale, things are definitely different. US investors are actually hoping that the economy remains weak because that means that the Federal Reserve will continue with the easy monetary policies. If things look fantastic, they don't have an excuse to keep printing. Lastly, I just wanted to mention the fact that while things are obviously quite insane today, it is unwise to short the market too early because you could end up taking massive losses. Instead, what people can do is swing trade because you don't have to be married to that trade. You could be in and out and play the market as you see it. I thought this was funny here. Real investment advice. Fed says taper is coming. Bulls here, no taper now. I mean, isn't that really the case? You know, you saw the news come out. The Federal Reserve, 5 members of the Fed came out publicly and said, yeah, you know what? We better get on that really quick or else we're going to have some trouble later. And then what happened? What happened? The market said, oh, wait a minute, they're not going to raise rates now. They're not going to increase or taper or anything right now. So let's just get on with it. And that's the way it should be, of course, because the markets react moment to moment. At least now anyway. They don't care about tomorrow. Who cares about tomorrow? Let's worry about today. Okay, there's a lot of detail in here. I'm not going to be able to get to it, but as always, Real Investment Advice has fantastic charts. Which I love. But essentially, they talk about, one of the things they talk about is potentially retesting the 200-day moving average. And I would truly wonder, what happens. George Bullard Kaplan suggests the taper is needed sooner. Powell says the taper coming, maybe, possibly, someday, potentially, if warranted. So he's making a joke there, but it depends on, who's saying it and what, and the market reacting accordingly. Okay, that's just the way it is. Exclusive, lawyers behind Ackman's retreat may target more SPACs. So what happened here? Bill Ackman, who everybody was loving this guy 2020, after he said, hell is coming, 2 days later, he's buying into the markets. Everybody's loving the guy. But with his SPAC here, the performance was so terrible, they started suing. People started suing, and now they're going after other SPACs. And SPACs really show you the ultimate bubble factor. Does it mean that a SPAC is bad? No, not necessarily. Not necessarily, but are a lot of them garbage? Yes, absolutely. And that's what we're seeing today. Okay, just because there's a word SPAC on it doesn't mean it's good, doesn't mean it's new, but people are just throwing money in. A new SPAC? I heard SPACs can do really well, and they just put their money in, okay? Second largest U.S. mortgage lender will accept payment in Bitcoin. They didn't say whether they'll accept the payment in Bitcoin and then transfer that into fiat, so we'll see. But I thought it was interesting. United Wholesale Mortgage, that's who it is. And they don't go to the individual, but it works a little differently than that. But I just wanted to show you this because things are changing. Things are definitely changing. There's a lot of big companies, PayPal accepting it. When PayPal's accepting it, that means that if you have your own online store or what have you, or the big companies with their online store, you don't necessarily care what kind of money comes in, but you can start getting people to pay with that cryptocurrency. Whether people are going to do that or not, we'll see. Because if somebody thinks Bitcoin is going to be higher tomorrow, why would you pay for that item with the Bitcoin? But anyway, that's a whole different story. I just think there's more adoption taking place and there's more institutions buying into this. There's no doubt, putting it on their balance sheets and so on. So we'll see what happens in the future. Look, if you want to become an insider, you're not going to pay anything. It's totally free. This is my way to get to you directly, to get around the censorship and the shadow banning and so on. It is available here at this card or at themoneygps.com. But hold on. Have you made a unicorn smile today? No? I've got the easiest possible way to do that. If you hit the like button, you make one unicorn smile. Okay, one per day. There's an allotment of one per day legally, and you can do so. Hit that thumbs up. Thank you very much. Making that unicorn smile. If you haven't seen this video yet, you definitely want to check it out. Click it, and I'll see you there.